It's now time for Step Into My Office, an opportunity every Monday for a select few to come into Michael Lombardi's office and Michael help him out. George Paton is the first one to come in. He is the general manager of the 4-11 Denver Broncos. He traded away Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, Noah Fant, 2022 NFL, first, second, and fifth rounder, and a 2023 first and second rounder for Russell Wilson, then extended him, gave him $165 million guaranteed. George Paton's up, Michael Lombardi.
Look, George, I think the one thing we can't do is fall into the sunk cost fallacy. I think the first step we took today is probably the right step. And then you got to do a really good job of going back over your detailed process of what you went through, the one you shared with the Denver Post, the one you were very proud about, and understand how you got to the wrong place, how we got to this. And I think you really got to do a good job of educating the ownership group on what alignment looks like. And I think you've got to understand that you don't control how this organization is going to run. You control how this organization is going to operate. But the organization group defines the team on a macro level, and you need to get the ownership group to get that. You need to be able to have a philosophy that comes from the top and works its way down. Then we need to lean out the organization. We've got too many people that we can't really manage. So the next coach that comes in here is going to have a hard time figuring out how to handle all this. We need one voice all the time. And we got to make sure the owner doesn't look for outside opinions. And then we got to have to be patient because it's going to take some time. Learn what you do well and what you don't do well and move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Paton. Enjoy your holidays. We welcome in Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins' first-year head coach. Remember, they're sitting 8-7. They were 8-3 through 11. They're 0-4 their last four. And the third down efficiency versus the Packers, 2 for 7, just 28%. Mike McDaniel sits down on the couch with Mr. Lombardi.
Mike, every coach goes through this. Every young coach particularly goes through it. And I think you have a lot to learn from what has experienced. The only thing we learn is from our losses, never from our wins. And I think you could look at this 4-game win streak and reevaluate what kind of team do you really want to be. And it's really wonderful that we have incredible skill players and we can have a one-play drive for 84 yards and score. But we also have a defense that's a liability. We also have a quarterback that isn't always going to play at a high level. He's not elite. We're going to have to help him a little bit. So I think what you really need to do this week before you take the plane up to New England is figure out how you have to play the game to win the game, how you're going to have to manage the game. And I think that comes from your ability to design a run game, your ability to feature the run game more than feature the big play. Because big plays are great, and we all have to score points. But we put our defense in a liability, and we got to work this thing around being a good three-dimensional team and handle game situations at a higher level because our defense isn't good enough to carry us, and Tua is not good enough to carry us. And by making big plays, you put those two things in play. And I think you need to be honest with yourself and stop defending the quarterback and start understanding that it's really important that we have more balance. We're the 32nd rush attempt team in the National Football League. We hired you because of your ability to run the ball. Now you become this play. You're playing mad in the basement in Des Moines. Let's manage the game better to help us win.
I'm going to ask you to project a little bit. So we said Nathaniel Hackett doesn't really have that leadership vibe on the sideline. Didn't feel like, from what we heard in the preseason, that there was a lot of unity. Do you get the impression Mike McDaniel in his first year has a head coaching vibe to him?
No, I've never felt that way. I've never felt that way. I mean, I've never felt that way in the interview. Do I think he's probably smart? They tell me he went to Yale, so that makes him smart, right? I mean, it has to. I mean, if you went to Yale, you're smart. But I think there's something different about being smart and being practical and understanding what it takes to win a game. And I think that's what he's going to do. I don't think the Dolphins have taken the approach they wanted their head coach to be that dynamic leader. They had that with Flores, and he was too dynamic. He was too strong on them. They didn't want that. They wanted a softer, more gentler, somebody who's more of a manager, not a leader. That's what they have. Now, will this work? Well, we'll see. What does he do with Boyer? Is he going to keep Boyer on the staff? They haven't played good defense. Now, Boyer was able to come back. I mean, last year they played different defense, as we mentioned earlier. This year they're playing more aggressively because that's what Boyer wants to do, but it's not working. Why doesn't he walk over to Boyer's office and say, hey, Josh, we're not good enough to play all this man-to-man. Let's go back to what we did last year, some zone dogs, some zone, and kind of handle that and see if it will work out better for us.
5 presidents went to Yale. Do you know the presidents that went to what college had the most presidents go through? Yale was 2.
I think it was Stanford.
Harvard.
Harvard, yeah. Stanford, Harvard.
I guess, yeah, you got to be smart. Okay, this one's not going to be easy.
Maybe I can get Dominic at Harvard. He's got a chance.
Dominic's going to have his pick. Trust me. I met the kid.
I hope so.
He's much smarter than me as a 44-year-old male. Okay, there goes Mike McDaniel. Here comes Josh McDaniels. This is not going to be easy for you. You're close to the team. 2022 record 6-8. Raiders have lost 3 straight one-score games.
Yeah, but I think, to me, this isn't a hard conversation. This is about understanding who we are. I think after 15 games now and watching the offense and being in so many tight games, I think, Josh, you have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, who are we and how do we build this thing moving forward? Right? We've tried to keep it together as best we could because it was a playoff team last year. But I think if you're really honest with the team and you break the team down, you see that we've had a lot of opportunities to win games. We've had a lot of opportunities to win close games. And when we break that thing down, is it because we haven't done a good job coaching, or is it the players, or is it the scheme? And I think when you watch it, I think you can honestly say there were throws that we're not making. So now you've got to make a decision. Are you going to continue down this road with Derek Carr, or are you going to have to pivot and go another direction? And I think it's going to be a hard one. It's going to be a hard one because Carr does some really good things. But is he going to allow you to win games moving forward? Is he going to allow you to keep going and win those close games? And if you don't feel like that happens, you're going to have to make a hard decision. It won't be popular because people are saying, hey, we went to the Super Bowl. went to the playoffs last year. But you're going to have to make some hard decisions because at the end of the day, their inability to protect the football with the passing game, to make critical plays in games, whether it's the throw to Devontae Adams last week, or it's the throw to Hunter Renfrow, or the throw to Darren Waller, we just haven't done it all year.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.